All right, let's start off. Well, Happy Veterans Day first. Let's see. What years did you serve in?
I went in October 1967, and I was discharged in September of '73.
All right. And what branch were you in?
I was in the United States Marine Corps.
All right. Let's see. How old were you when you first came into the military?
I was 18.
And you already had a wife at this time, correct?
No, I got married right out of boot camp.
Gotcha. Okay. And you had a son, correct?
Well, out of boot camp, I came home, and my wife and I, we weren't married at the time, but we got married, and after we got married out of boot camp, I went back to Camp Lejeune and went to school for engineering. And there, at school, then I finished first in my class, and I made Lance Corporal out of school. And then they sent me on a med cruise out to the Mediterranean Sea, and I was out there for like it's like a 6-month deployment, and I was gone like 7 months total because of the training, pre-staging training. And after we got back, my wife was, pregnant and about due any time, but I got my Westpac orders,
And you're in Vietnam, correct?
yeah, I got my Westpac orders, and then I had to go to San Diego, California for staging this ITR, Advanced Infantry Training, before they sent us to Vietnam. And my wife at this time was very close to having our first son. And but anyway, after we got through training in California, we flew into Saigon, Vietnam, and it was a bad experience in trying to land there, so they took us back to Okinawa, which is an island, a Japanese island off from the coast of Vietnam. And in doing so, they needed engineers to do reconnaissance mission going in and out of Vietnam. So my permanent duty station was in Okinawa, and we went 3 contact teams into Vietnam to go in there. What we did, we'd go in and inventory equipment that the Marines were using for road building and demolition and things of this nature to get the combat troops to their destination. I was not a combat. All Marines are riflemen. All Marines, their basic MOS is 0311, which is a grunt, more or less. But they pick, after you take your test at the beginning, it's like a qualification test, and in doing so,
ASVAB?
ASVAB, right. Well, it's similar to like ASVAB today, but anyway, what you major in, and they sent me to school for engineering. And so in doing so, not all men that go into service are combat grunt people that fight. They're engineers, they're medics, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're all different types of electricians, pilots, all different types of trade or in the military. It's not always combat. And I was one of the lucky ones that was given a career in engineering. And in doing so, I used it when I got out as the same as like I'm doing today in land development. But while I was in Okinawa, we would go in and inventory and survey equipment that was broken down or that was being. Keep in mind, this equipment's not in town; it's out in combat zone. So we were escorted. We had fire teams that would go with us. We also had to carry our own rifle with them. They tried to protect us, but we had to protect ourselves. And this time I was in I guess I was over West Backwaters for like 3 months. I got to Vietnam in November of '68, and my son was born in February of '69. And I got home. I got home for his first birthday. I got home in February the 12th, and his birthday is the 26th. And at that time, they gave me orders to go to North Carolina. And after I got stationed in North Carolina, they needed people in Air Wing in South Carolina, at Beaufort, South Carolina. And I volunteered and signed up for that duty there in South Carolina. And then they needed PMI instructors over at Parris Island. And I thought it'd be something I'd really like to do is marksmanship, because I've always enjoyed riflemen and things of this nature. So I spent 9 months in Parris Island teaching PMI, primary marksman instructor, and I was teaching the hand-to-hand combat, and also rifle instruction, and also pistols. We shot at the pistol range. But basically my base at MOS was 1341, which was engineer heavy equipment, and we'd go back and we would inventory and repair equipment and have it ready for service, even back here in the stateside after even come back from Vietnam. But during the time that I was in, I guess some of the most memorable moments was when they put a man on the moon. I saw it in Vietnamese. We were at a particular time, we were going through a movement there, and we went through this village, and they had television there, and it was all in Japanese. And I got to watch the man step on the moon
cool.
and speaking in Vietnamese, and that was pretty cool, you know. But then, of course, they had an interpreter there doing all that. But I remember that thing. But one of the things that really drove me hardest, probably to make me work the hardest, was trying to get home to my wife and my son that I had not seen. But it was quite an adventure. Why I did it, coming from the country that I did, and I'm native of Florida, born in Cross City, Florida, and we were brought up to serve your country. And my past family, my father, he was in the Army, and I had an uncle that was in the Marine Corps, and he impressed me as that's what I wanted to be. He was a very man of stature, and whenever he walked into the room, he commanded the room. He just had the charisma about him, and that was one of the things. That's what I wanted to be a Marine, and I have no regrets to this day. I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for bringing back home safe in one piece. But in my venture and stuff in the military, it was good for me. I got a good education out of it. I capitalized on it even after I got out of the service. I'm going to school on the GI Bill, which paid for my education. But you have a question?
So while you're over in Vietnam and in Japan and stuff like that, was the camps like poor, or would you consider them like?
Oh man, it was very, very poor, and it was second world. You know, I mean, you walked where you went, and they had cars, but not everyone over there had cars. Of course, out in Vietnam, the military really we lived as Americans, and with the stuff, the statue of Americans. But Vietnamese, they lived in bamboo huts and clay huts and things of this nature, and they worked from the time they were big enough to walk in rice paddies and things of this nature to raise their families. Yes.
So it was still a third world. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you came back to America, I know that not all people accepted that, like that the military was coming back. Like, did you get disgraced in any way?
Oh yeah, whenever we came in, we flew into in California, San Diego, and when we landed, me being from a small town in Florida, whenever the military men came in, there would normally be a gathering to welcome them home. But when we landed there were people that at the time, we called them hippies. And they were just a bunch of pot-smoking, peace-loving tree huggers is what we always call them. But they were out there, they were actually protesting against us, calling us, killers and child killers and molesters and all the horrible names you could ever imagine. And they were actually, I did not have any thrown to me, but the group that I was in, I mean, the outside edges of them, they were actually throwing human waste at them, and it was wrapped up in like plastic baggies, and it's pure human waste that they'd throw at them. And none ever got close enough to get to where it was me, but I seen them, and you could smell it. I mean, it was real bad. And they had to get the police escort there to escort them out and get us to the plane so we could get off the military base onto a civilian port so we could fly home. Yes, it was bad scar in your life and your time because of the exposure you were exposed to.
Wow. That's definitely not like anything today.
No. Now the things that are happening today is good for the military, even it's good for the Vietnam vet. You get some recognition, not that we want recognition, but just acceptance, more than anything. I didn't go in the Marine Corps to come home to be a hero or anything. I went to serve my country for freedom. That's my duty, right? And so I'm very proud of the fact that I did serve. I got discharged as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I've got several different accommodations that I received while I was in the service. So I got a meritorious mass for my performance of duty that I did while I was in Vietnam, above and beyond the call of duty, than the way that I did my job. And it was just for a job because I took care of the situation that I was in charge of, and I did an exceptional job at it.
Well, you've definitely left a mark in society here, because anyone who's come into contact with you definitely knows that you're a man of integrity and all those types of things. That you've made your mark here. All right, well, I think that's really all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Dolan.